Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Friday, June 23rd, 2023. Well, we're going to start off first with the Tropics, the premium members, as you know. And if you want to become a premium member, it's very simple. It actually helps the channel quite a bit. If you go up to right there, or there we go. Right there, right up there in that link, you can subscribe. It's only $11 a month, and it actually helps out the channel and also the company very well. So definitely do that. Now, let's talk about the Tropics here. I have been talking about this for quite some time, that while the model guidance can be rather aggressive, you can't ignore reality. And the reality is that we are moving into a strong El Nino. And it looks like, depending on what model you look at, the Australian model guidance is incredibly strong. The CPC, American guidance, is basically moderate to strong. And so is the European, suggesting moderate to strong. So at the very least, you're going to deal with a moderate El Nino. And the high end is almost a historically strong El Nino. So what this means for the tropics is that you're going to see an increased amount of shear and dry air in the tropical Atlantic. That brings us to our systems here, where there was a lot of unnecessary, I guess you call it hype, in some situations where you had some people in social media claiming it could reach the United States and all this other stuff. Neither one of these systems are anywhere near a threat to the United States. And what we're seeing here with Bret is a great example. It was a strengthening tropical storm, strong tropical storm, got up to 70-mile-per-hour winds, and now look what the strong vertical wind shear has done. It has basically started to rip apart this tropical storm. Now, it's going to put up a bit of a fight. It's not going to completely disintegrate in a span of 12 hours, although that can happen. It will start to steadily weaken by the time it hits towards Jamaica, which we'll talk about in just a moment. It will be an open wave, and that's it. Meanwhile, we have another tropical storm, Cindy. Now, as far as recorded data, and let's start off maybe with the 1970s, okay? From the 1970s to now, there is no observations that supported or shown tropical development here with two named tropical storms. So it's kind of the first time in known history. Whether that's happened before 1970, I don't know. And the reason why we don't know is that we don't have planes. We didn't have a lot of boats. We didn't have enough coverage. And we certainly didn't have satellites to make sure whether or not you had a tropical system developing out here that just kind of got torn apart before ever reaching any of our shipping lines. Okay, so I don't know pre-1970. Okay, we'll go with that. But it's still a big deal. It's pretty unusual to see two tropical named systems in the Atlantic in this area. It's about, it's not months early. It's about 2 weeks early. So it's pretty impressive to see Cindy here really getting its act together. Now, yesterday it became a tropical depression around 11 p.m. tonight. Last night it became a tropical storm. And we're going to zoom in on Cindy. But what really stands out to me with Cindy is this right here. You see this kind of fanning out right here? Well, what that fanning out means is that we have a strong anticyclonic circulation above the storm. Warm core lows have cyclonic circulation at the surface, and then as the air rises, that latent heat energy has to escape. And so what you develop then is an anticyclonic circulation. And so that is what this is. And when you see that, that means that there is a high potential for further strengthening. And that's exactly what we're expecting. So when we zoom in here, this is the latest satellite picture on Bret. Bret's circulation's right here. The vertical wind shear is basically forcing these thunderstorms that try to flare up pushed off to the west. And the more this happens, the more it disrupts the circulation and the more that it will weaken. And so that is what we're starting to see here. Winds are down to 60 miles per hour. It's going to steadily move west, steadily weaken. By the end of the weekend, it will be a rapidly weakening tropical depression. And basically before it passes through or to the south of Jamaica, it will become an open wave and no threat to the United States whatsoever. Meanwhile, we have Cindy here. Now, Cindy is very interesting because, like I said, there's that fanning out that I was talking about, right? And you can see the convection developing around the low-level center. This is a nice heat tower right here, a rapidly intensifying convection with cold cloud, with warm air rising rapidly. And the higher those cloud tops get, the colder they get because they're higher in the atmosphere. So certainly an indication that we're seeing some intensification and that it's expected to continue. The NHC has Cindy remaining a tropical storm, likely a strong tropical storm, over the next several days. And then by the time we get to the middle of next week, the same trough that is over the eastern United States, which we'll talk about in a moment, will basically tear apart Cindy and force it out into the northern Atlantic. One little caveat though, the way that Cindy is looking this morning, the structure involved here, I would not be surprised if it touches hurricane strength here. Because you have a nice outflow here, you have plenty of convection around low level center, you're not seeing much in the way of shear. All I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if it touches 75 miles per hour. But the forecast right now is to get up to 65, maybe 70 miles per hour before it starts to interact with that shear and dry air that is dominant in an El Nino year. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're going to be saying this quite a bit. Hey, we have a lot of systems developing, but they're all getting torn apart. That's what I think we're going to see a lot during this season. So neither one of these are a threat for the eastern United States. So there's no worry in that respect. And it looks like both of them will miss the Puerto Rico and the greater Antilles here. So that's certainly some good news. A little bit, oh, by the way, let me just show you this. This is the European guidance, basically in alignment with the NHC forecast here. And you can see Bret just becoming an open wave. And there's Cindy to the north of the islands, also rapidly weakening. And then after that, we really don't have any activity for the rest of the month into early July showing up at any of the guidance. This is the intertropical convergence zone. This is where this is kind of like the baby factory over there for tropical systems. And there's no indication at this time of anything else developing. So we're going to be moving into a more quiet period. So, you know, climatology usually adjusts itself. And so we had an active period now. It'll be quiet for early July. And then we'll see whether we pick up again for mid-July. So it always balances out. Now, closer to home. We have a lot of low clouds, a lot of fog, and we were expecting more rainfall yesterday. The model guidance a couple days ago was really supporting a lot of rainfall. The issue, though, was not the moisture content. There was plenty of moisture in the atmosphere, but it was really a lack of lifting. All the lifting remained off to our south and west in the Tennessee River Valley. That is changing today. We have an easterly wind at the surface. So let's say from the surface up to about 925 millibars. And that's transporting plenty of moisture in from the Atlantic Ocean. And also plenty of cloudy skies. And everyone wondering, where the heck is summer? Because it doesn't feel like summer. Temperatures range from the mid to upper 60s with an easterly wind around 5 to 15 miles per hour, at times gusting up to 20, 25 miles per hour on the immediate coast. You see these purple signals here. This is the LIFR signal. We have IFR signals. What this basically means is if you're flying today, you might be dealing with a couple of delays because of the visibility issues. So just be aware of that. We also have a little bit of fog here. And some of these showers are generally light. I did see a heavier downpour earlier on this morning, but nothing really that is impressive yet. With the upper level winds elsewhere, from 925 millibars up to 250 millibars, it's transporting moisture from the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. Why is that important? Well, the reason why that's important is because of our precipitable water values. Our precipitable water values are above 1.5 inches for the entire region, touching on 2 inches. Why is this important? I want to show you this because this gives you the idea of the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. Think of it like this. You have a sponge. The amount of water in that sponge tells you how much you can squeeze out. So if you have a big sponge with a lot of water in it, and you come along and squeeze it, you're going to get a lot of water to come out, right? Well, we have a big sponge sitting over us. And the question is not whether or not we have enough moisture in the atmosphere, but whether or not we have enough lifting to squeeze that sponge. So the sponge is sitting here. These are the observations. It's no longer a model suggestion. This is it. We have tropical moisture in place. It is well supported, and you can see in our surface map and radar, we're starting to get that influence of showers and thunderstorms developing, which we can see on our weather tap radar. Now, we still have this high pressure system to the north here that's preventing the worst case scenario of the heaviest downpours. But as this high pressure system gives way and we get these waves of low pressure constantly moving through our region, they're going to constantly try to squeeze that sponge. So here we have the scenario here with plenty of low clouds and then these scattered showers and thunderstorms. And that's the key here. This setup features scattered showers and thunderstorms, which means your house might not get a lot of rain for today, but the town next over gets a half an inch of rain or even an inch of rain with some localized flash flooding. And that is essentially the theme that's going to set up for today all the way on through next week. And so this is the kind of setup that we're going to be watching here, with these showers approaching and capable of producing these little pockets of heavier downpours. See it over central Pennsylvania starting to develop in the Lehigh Valley. And these waves of low pressure are going to continue to push northward and continue to support the transport of that tropical air. Now, as this warm front lifts northward, the winds will start to shift from the east to the south, which means we're going to have a southerly wind at all levels of the atmosphere. So moisture transport, high level moisture transport, will be continuing at least through the middle of next week, if not further. Now, when we take a look at our satellite picture, clearly our visible shows plenty of low clouds. So if you're looking for any sunshine, head up towards Connecticut while you can. That's where you have your best potential up for scattered cloud cover, mix of sun and clouds. As you head further south, certainly overcast cloud cover. Get used to it. It's not going away all that much going forward over the next couple of days. On the infrared satellite picture, you can see the lifting here. Now, notice, remember I said about tropical systems, the colder the cloud top, the stronger the lifting, right? Well, the same thing is true with extratropical low pressure systems, okay? And that's what this is. And I'll show you the water vapor in a moment just to prove that. Notice how we don't have like widespread cold cloud tops here. It's kind of broken up here. That kind of gives you an idea on the lifting parameters here, where that's why we have these scattered shower and thunderstorm threat. But notice where they are lifting, they get pretty cold. Okay, so this is convective precipitation, a perfect example of that. And on the water vapor satellite picture, I mean, wow, look at this. This is just an impressive moisture transport, and this upper level low is just going to sit here and spin and then slowly lift northeast and open up as a trough before another short wave, which is up here, dives in into the trough and continues the process. So remember when we had that upper level trough that just kind of sat here around the Canadian Maritimes? We still have one here, still kind of lingering about, and transported smoke and dry air and cool conditions. Well, this is the opposite direction. This is a situation where we have an upper level low and trough set up to the west, and instead of transporting air masses from central Canada, they're transporting air masses from the Gulf Coast. So that means a higher amount of humidity in the atmosphere, but overall, no signs of hot and humid weather conditions, i.e. temperatures in the 90s and feeling like 95, 100, because of all of the moisture in the atmosphere supporting cloud cover and showers. So that's going to keep us relatively cool. Pretty much temperatures averaging above normal for lows, but near to below normal for highs. So averaging out near normal in that respect, but it won't feel like near normal. So I just want to show the model guidance here. Again, this is the 850 millibar winds. This should kind of show you that southerly component continues. It weakens a little bit by the end of the weekend, but look, it just reinvigorates and redevelops as another trough takes its place to the west and continues that southerly wind, continues it through much of the week, and then it pushes forward, and then look, it starts to redevelop once again. So guess what? We're going to be in this pattern for quite some time. You can see on the operational guidance of 500 millibar heights, Notice that trough here, again, off to our west, transporting moisture in from the tropical Atlantic. That continues to be a theme all the way through next week. There's our upper level low. And this is textbook for El Nino, by the way. This isn't like something like, oh my God, this is unusual. This is El Nino. We just aren't used to it because we haven't seen it in over 3 years with a constant La Nina pattern in place. And again, this is also supported by the ensemble guidance. You use the ensemble guidance to kind of get, hey, is the operational out to lunch, or is there some general agreement? And overall, there is pretty good general agreement through early July. By the middle of July, we start to get more of a zonal pattern here. This could be a redevelopment, basically a reset, where the pattern relaxes and re-intensifies again. So let's say after July 6th or so, we could be ending up with a little bit more of a hotter weather pattern for a short period of time. But this looks like it's resetting itself once again. And some of the seasonal guidance suggests that we're going to remain in this type of pattern for much of July and also August. So there's something to keep in the back of your mind. If you look forward to hot and humid weather conditions, this ain't it. Okay, so this is what I was talking about in terms of the lifting. Let me just zoom in here for a second. Okay, so notice the lifting here is kind of broken up and scattered. Okay, and that is essentially the theme of our showers and thunderstorms. Each one of these little features here is basically a little hand squeezing that sponge. So you have the sponge in place, and there is the lifting parameters. Lifting on through, and that's what's going to support your scattered showers and thunderstorms. And that's why I have scattered showers and thunderstorms in the forecast through the entire period. You can see as we go forward all the way through the 10-day period, basically that same theme remains in place. And as far as 850 millibar temperatures, not exactly impressive. No sign of any type of heat. If you want heat, head down towards Texas. There's plenty of it there, which I'm sure you probably wouldn't really enjoy. Trust me, temperatures in the hundreds, heat index around 120. No, thank you. But we will continue to remain in this relatively cool pattern where 850 millibar temperatures around 13, 14 degrees Celsius, but that supports temperatures basically in the 80s with a lot of humidity. And why do we have a lot of humidity? Well, remember what I said about the precipitable water values? When you start to see red, that is the sign for tropical downpours. And as you can see, we have that flashing up quite a bit. So basically now we've shifted to a base standard where our precipitable water values are above 1.5 inches, which supports heavy downpours. So our sponge is, well in place and very impressive, and doesn't look to be leaving anytime soon. But you also want to take a look at 700 millibar relative humidity, because what this shows is that your scattered showers and thunderstorms will remain scattered. It's not a widespread rainfall event. It's a pesky rainfall event, and the potential for anywhere from 1 to 4 inches of rain to fall in your location over the next 10 days, which, by the way, is the way that you want to break your drought. You don't want it all in one shot. You kind of want it broken up. But what this shows here, when you take a look at 700 millibars, is that there's going to be a lot of breaks here. And there's going to be some days where we get almost next to no rain, and other days where we get a lot of showers and thunderstorms. The best potential for showers and thunderstorms in this type of environment is very much like a Florida theme. Essentially, your afternoon and evening hours. So, again, you see that very nicely here on the HRR guidance. That's all lifting northward. This evening looks to be rather wet, especially in the Delaware River Valley this time. That doesn't mean it's going to be a constant theme throughout this entire period. As you can see on the NAM guidance, it shows the same thing, and then it shifts towards the coast, and then back and forth. Then the Delaware River Valley, and then possibly back towards the coast again. And guess what? The European guidance is showing the same thing. So, in other words, if you have outdoor plans over the next several days, bring an umbrella and have backup plans. So, let's dive into this forecast. Oh, and by the way, the ensemble guidance is showing the same thing. And this goes out to 15 days. And guess what? It just keeps on showing the same scenario. So, yeah, this isn't going away anytime soon, at least through, let's say, July 6th. So, it's not looking so good for the 4th of July weekend. Now, let's dive into this forecast for today. Overcast cloud cover, scattered showers and thunderstorms, temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 70s on the immediate coast, mid to upper 70s away from the coast, a few lower 80s mixed in there around the Philadelphia metro, like 80, 81, 79, somewhere in that ballpark. For tomorrow, well, tonight into tomorrow, waves of showers and thunderstorms. Again, not everyone will see them, but if you do, they're going to be very heavy downpours and wind gusts over 40 miles per hour, so be prepared. Low temperatures will range from the mid to upper 60s over the northern interior, upper 60s to lower 70s along the coast. For tomorrow afternoon, scattered showers and thunderstorms. Again, not everyone, but if you have outdoor plans, I would have a backup plan because you're going to need it. Look for low temperatures, again, to range from the mid to upper 60s over the northern interior, upper 60s to lower 70s along the coast, and lower to mid 70s along the coast, mid to upper 70s over the interior, and lower to mid 80s in the Delaware River Valley. Rinse and repeat for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can even go Friday. Every day you're going to feature a threat for scattered showers and thunderstorms, a variable cloud cover, a broken to overcast cloud cover, a south to southeasterly wind, so watch out for your riptides, and also every day is a threat for scattered showers and thunderstorms. That doesn't mean every day you will see rain, but the surrounding area will see rain in this type of pattern, and some of these thunderstorms will be capable of some very heavy downpours. Low temperatures will pretty much be locked in to the upper 50s to mid 60s over the northern interior, mid to upper 60s on the immediate coast and in your suburbs, and upper 60s to lower 70s in your urban areas. High temperatures will range from the mid to upper 70s over the northern interior, mid to upper 70s along the coast, and upper 70s to mid 80s in the Delaware River Valley. Those mid 80s are when we have days where we miss out on the showers and thunderstorms. It remains relatively dry with plenty of humidity, and you could crack a little bit of sun here and there. So it's going to be rare, but it's possible. The one theme with this pattern, along with the rainfall, is the humidity. So don't be surprised if it gets a bit sticky out there for you in this type of tropical weather pattern. That is your premium public video discussion for today. I hope you learned a lot. We do this every day in the premium section, so definitely check that out. And as always, stay safe out there.